Hello Infiniteers, and welcome back to my WALL-E toy box. Before we begin, I want to let you know that there will not be a video on Wednesday. This week is my birthday, so I'll be doing other things. But I will be back on Friday to kick off my new Friday series, Toy Box Classics, and WALL-E will resume next Monday. Okay, last time we placed the terrain that serves as the foundation for my Junkyard Earth toy box. And we placed the road around the perimeter of the city section of the toy box, as you see here. And today I'm going to pick up where I left off, and we will build the Freeway Overpass where WALL-E's home sits and his home. Here are some pictures of this location from the movie. As you can see, the overpass is fairly wide, and it goes far back into the distance. There are some streetlights and a divider down the middle, as well as concrete railings along the sides. There are also lots of broken down vehicles and trash piles, and the road itself is covered in dirt. WALL-E's home is actually a broken down waste compactor. Lots of garbage and debris have piled up around it. This large vehicle sits at the end of a bridge that has collapsed. The back of the vehicle is actually a door that swings down and forms a ramp that allows WALL-E to enter. Inside the vehicle, of course, is WALL-E's collection of trinkets and spare parts. Here's another shot from earlier in the movie that shows this location at sunset. Again, you can see the road that runs beneath it and the start of the large barren area that extends down and to the right. There's an exit ramp here that descends from the bridge at an angle, and WALL-E uses this later in the film to chase the laser dot into the large barren area below. So this is what I want to build today. I always want to build something that matches the original source material as closely as I can, and that's why I like to show you photos of what I'm trying to build. So let's start today with the Freeway Overpass. And before we actually get to that, we've got a little gap underneath the terrain here, underneath this overpass that I want to fix. So let me come down to the terrain category, and let's plug that little gap, like that. All right, now for the overpass, let's start with the racetrack pieces, and we'll begin with this piece of track here. And you may have noticed I've got some pieces placed over there. Just ignore those for now. We'll get back to those shortly. Okay, so this is the start of the overpass. You'll notice we already placed the off-ramp last time. But of course I cannot place racetrack pieces at a 45-degree angle. So this is the orientation that I chose to place that. Now, for the road, we're going to extend the road this way. This is where WALL-E's home will sit. We're actually going to make this a little wider than this, but we'll get to that in a moment. So we're going to drop down another long piece, followed by a medium, followed by this wide track intersect right, and that's going to be for the transit station, which we're going to build in the future. We're going to place a wide track and another one of these, and that'll be the end for that. And then we'll come back over to the narrower pieces. We're going to put this long track in there like that. And then we're going to come up here to the end of this. We don't need to build the overpass further that direction. We're going to drop two of these very long pieces, followed by a medium, followed by a very long, followed by a long. Something's not right here. this should be down here like that. And then the long should sit in here like this. Yeah, instead of this medium piece here, I think we needed the racetrack piece. There we go. All right, so that is the racetrack for the overpass. But it's a little bit thin. So we're going to add a little bit of substance to that. And we're going to do that by putting some thin terrain pieces underneath this. We're going to use this small and thin terrain block. We'll put the first one in here right on the end of the bridge like that. And then we're going to style this using the frosted white world. Oops. And this is now too wide. We're going to take this 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces down. And too wide. Like that. And then we'll try to build a little bit of terrain underneath this ramp, but we don't have pieces that fit the curve of that exactly. So we'll just kind of try to finagle this a little bit. Try to match it as closely as we can. It's not going to be perfect, but at least it won't be hanging off without any substance under it. Unfortunately, I can't do the same with the off-ramp, so that'll have to stay the way it is. And let's grab this terrain cube here. We're going to come down here to the start of the off-ramp for the transit station. And on this terrain seam here, we're going to place 1, 2 of those. And then this is going to sit under there just like that. And we'll put 2 of those there. And we can delete those little helper cubes. And if you want to, you can stick a wedge under here. I don't know that you necessarily need to do that, but it doesn't hurt, I suppose. There we go. So there is the terrain. And we're actually going to leave this with nothing underneath here. Look like that's hanging off the edge, so it looks like it broke off. Okay. So there we go. That looks pretty good. Okay, for the supports underneath the bridge, we're going to use these blocks here. And I want to place these. If we come over here, we're going to be right on the seam that runs down the middle of the freeway. And back 2 nudges like that. So that's where this is going to sit. It looks a little bit better or more like the movie to use 4 of these blocks. So 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. But that takes up some extra memory. It's going to be 4 blocks instead of 3. And as we get down here and this gets truncated, it actually becomes 8 blocks. Whereas with these little cylinders, we'll only have 2. So I did this to save a little bit of memory. If you're on a system with more memory, you can feel free to do it with the rectangular blocks. This is what I'm going to do. And for the theme on this, we're going to use the Agrabah Bazaar Stucco. I'll set that to be my theme. That kind of closely matches what you see underneath the overpass there as the light reflects up off the ground. Okay. Alright, so the next one will sit out over here on the end. Back 2 nudges. And now we're going to run into a little bit of a problem here, but I'll fix that in a moment. Now these, we're going to do 1. Let's go ahead and just place them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to drop another pillar down as if the freeway were still there. We can delete these. It just looks like the end of this stops abruptly, so we're going to put some debris down there in a little bit, just to make it look like it's collapsed. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and place a few more of these. Put some supports in. I'm not going to put any here over the road, so we'll skip that. Incidentally, some of you were asking, or somebody was asking, why I was using the inside-out characters like Joy from last time discussed. And one of the reasons I did that was because Wall-E is alone on this world and the emotions don't really exist. So I thought those would be a good choice for using for the playthrough characters. And I don't get a chance to use them very often. Okay, so there we go. We have the supports except for this one. And what we're going to do for that is we're going to put in the supports using a replayer. And if you wanted to, you could try using the little trick with the bounding box. This doesn't always work for me, though. Some people swear by it. Oh, hey, look, that is working for me today. Sometimes that doesn't work. Oh, there we go. It worked today. Cool. If that doesn't work for you, you can use a replayer. Just move these slopes out of the way temporarily, and then put these two down with a replayer, and then stop recording and clear the replayer, then put these slopes back, and then do a replay on the replayer, and that will actually put those in. But hey, that trigger area trick worked today. Okay, so there we go. That's looking pretty good. All right, now we're going to put in Wall-E's home. And for that, I am going to use the mine car from the Marvel Battlegrounds playset. Okay? And this is going to sit about like that in the center of the road, but it needs to be dropped down to that point. But of course I can't do that because of the bounding box. We're going to attach this to a path. But for right now, I'm going to place this up one block. Now to get this piece, of course, you have to have the Marvel Battlegrounds playset. And you unlock this by completing challenge number 7 as Black Panther. Now if you're on PC or you don't have the Marvel Battlegrounds playset, hold on, because at the end of the video here I'm going to show you an alternative for this. But for right now, this is what we're going to do. And I want to place some debris around the perimeter of this. And for that, we're going to use these debris pieces from Building Sets Group 2. Okay? And want them to be kind of overlapping a little bit with the front of that, just so that it looks, and all the way around the perimeter too, just so it looks like it's sitting in the trash. And let me grab my screenshots here that I'm using for this. Okay, so for this one, I'm actually going to use, I believe it's this piece. This is going to sit down here and on the ground. And we're going to spin it around like that. Okay? And I think we'll bring this out just a little bit more so that it's sitting like that when we drop this thing down. If you don't get it exactly right, that's okay. It doesn't have to be exact. All right, and then this is going to sit in here about like that. So this will sit there. And then around the perimeter of this, will come out like that, so that that's sitting kind of like that. We have to move this around a little bit. Or, let me see, am I using... There's a lot of pieces here we can use. Trying to get my screenshot. Let's go this way since I went around the perimeter of this. All right, so we're going to want this to sit here about like that. So put that down on the ground. Put another one of these here, and I find it's good just to kind of bring it up here, and you can see how it's going to sit roughly. And then along the back, you don't want to put it on the ground and then have it sticking out like that. Oops. I think, yeah, like this. Sorry. Just kind of playing around with this to see what we can do. Alright, and we'll place this here like that. We can drop one of these piles or one of these. Just kind of see what you can do with it. Yeah, see, that leaves kind of a gap here. It's going to be noticeable, so I think we'll use this piece. Put that in there about like that. Okay, so then when we drop this down, it's going to overlap those debris pieces. Okay, I want to put my cursor about in the middle of this thing. And then come out of the editor, go up to Creativitoys, go left and select the Path Creator. And we're going to drop this down and put this right on the terrain, like that. And we'll put one little path point below into the terrain and exit. Okay. And then go into the Path Properties, turn off Auto Start Objects when connected. Select the minecar, do a new path connection, toy box path, and then select the minecar again, go into the properties, which we now have, come down to the vertical offset, put that at -4. And that drops it into the bridge, and now it looks like it's sitting in the debris, which is pretty cool. Of course, the one downside of using the minecar is that you can't actually go into it, because there's no way to do that. but I think this looks the closest to what we have in the movie, and I really like the way that looks. Alright, but if you are on PC or you do not have the Marvel Battlegrounds playset, that is not an option for you. And so what you're going to need to do is build something yourself out of basic building blocks. And there's a community toy box from 1.0 called Off the Wall E, which was made by Luke E. for the Air Race Challenge. And what he built and designed there actually looks fairly decent. And so what you can do, if you want to build that instead, go down to the basic building blocks, and I'll put it down here just because I don't want to move what I have up there, but you're going to build it up there, obviously. We'll start with this arch block. And for the theme on the blocks, some of them, we're going to use Plastic 1. Set that to be my theme. Okay? Alright. So we'll put that in there. And then we're going to grab this balcony wedge. And you're going to put it right here on the corner of this, like you see here. Just trying to find exactly how many of these I need. Looks like 6 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. Like that. Like that. Okay. And then on the front of this, we're going to use some of these for kind of like the little window sections of this. Like that. That's going to sit along there like so. And then, sorry for the delay, but I'm just trying to make sure I get this just right for you. And we're going to grab these trim pieces, and we're going to place those right along here, like that. And for these, we're going to set the theme on this. If you go over to the left, that will be the Metal 2 theme. You're going to do that same thing on both sides, like that. Okay. And then along the top, we're going to place some small floor tiles. And you can either do it with these, or you can put these along here if you wanted to, just to save a little memory. But I'm just going to run these down like that. And that puts in a little ceiling there for the room. For the floor, get back to this. Okay, for the floor, we're going to put down some some of these pieces. And we're going to set the theme on this. To be these. Like that. And then we'll add in a ramp so that Wally can get into the thing and the player. And for that you can use that same theme, or we can use our plastic one theme again, or you can use this theme if you like. Any way you want there. Now for the wheels, you can use this, or you can use this. And again, set that to be this theme because it looks kind of like treads if you do that. There we go. And there you have something that looks a little bit like it. One of the other things they did, Luke E. did on his video, or his toy box, which I saw in the video, was he added this air conditioning unit to the front, like that, which gives it a little bit of character. And I think that looks good. And then you can take some of the debris, like we did here, and pack that underneath here, and underneath here. And if you want, since you can go inside, you can place some things in here as well. And here's a screen grab of some of the things that Luke E. put inside of his. So that's your alternative if you don't have access to this. Obviously this looks much better, but if you don't have that, that will do nicely. And if you don't like the textures I've chosen, you can play around with it and find something you do like. All right, we are just about out of time, so I think I will finish the overpass next time by putting in the debris down there. One thing you can do, let's see, we can go ahead and put this along here, cover up that terrain seam there. You can put a couple more of those down along there if you like. And if you have the memory, you can use this street barrier from Building Sets Group 2 and place them along the freeway like this. And run these all the way down to about this point. Obviously it'd be that point because I can't go up to here. And then start from about here all the way down to this point. And then on the other side you can put these all the way along the side. But since those are one terrain cube wide, you're going to use a lot of those. So you want to make sure you're on a system with a little bit more memory than my Wii U has. But I think it looks really good. I really wanted to leave that in there. But unfortunately I needed to take that out because I had to have the memory on my Wii U. Don't put barriers across here because obviously this is where the road collapsed. There wouldn't be a barrier on that side. But next time we'll finish building the collapsed part of the freeway down there and add some decorations up here along the freeway. But that's Wally's home, and that's the majority of the overpass. So before you go, leave a comment and let me know what you think of my build for Wally's home and the overpass. And remember, there will not be a video on Wednesday, but I will be back on Friday for the start of my new weekend series, Toy Box Classics. You won't want to miss that, so be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. Thank you for watching. Have a great week.